People First process is a show presented by people with learning disabilities for our friends and community. We talk about issues that are important to us and interview interesting people to find out new information. This is our way to make a difference, to make our voices heard.
As part of People First Keighley Craven, we decided to do a Safer Streets event as hate crime is rising amongst people with disabilities. We've got a few of the guests to interview. Could you introduce yourselves, please?
Okay, I'm Steve Church. I'm a police officer. I've been a police officer for nearly 20 years and a hate crime coordinator for about 4 years.
Hi, my name's Frazer and I am the Hate Crime Coordinator for Bradford Hate Crime Alliance.
Can you explain your job role to us, please?
That's a very good question. As one of the police officers and hate crime coordinators, myself and my colleagues, we review every hate crime and every hate incident that's reported in the entire Bradford district policing area. And we make sure that every victim is contacted and offered any support that they may need or signposted to our partner agencies like Bradford Hate Crime Alliance, who may be able to offer a little bit more than we can offer. And we also make sure that the officers that are investigating these reports are doing it to a high standard.
And it's interesting because even though we have kind of like the same title, don't we, Steve? We're both hate crime coordinators. My job's actually really different. And what I do is with Bradford Hate Crime Alliance, I make sure that all our 25 different reporting centres across Bradford are up and running, that they're fully staffed, everybody knows how to take reports, as well as doing events like today to raise awareness of hate crime and get more people to come forward and report hate crimes and hate incidents. So that's a little bit about what I do.
What would you say to others out there, any individual who may be feeling a little bit frightened, a little bit uncomfy, or just very uncertain about what to do if ever they end up in a situation where they may even see a hate crime and not know what to do already, or even hear about it on the internet? If they see anything like that, what would you say to him or her?
Well, I would say if you're unsure, you need to talk and speak to somebody else. If there's somebody about, you can get their, see what they think, get their opinion. But you need to maintain safety for yourself first, okay? So don't put yourself in a position that could be dangerous. And if there's something happening that needs reporting to the police, report it straight away, and we'll do our best to help you.
I think for me, I'd echo what Stephen said. I think I completely agree with that. But also, it's important to, even if it's something like you said, you might have seen something or heard something on the internet, you might have heard something in the street that maybe isn't aimed at you, but has been aimed at somebody else. I think it's really important just to have a conversation about it. Come to a safe space like people, People First Keighley Craven, people that you trust, people that you know are here to support you. That's why we have 25 reporting centres across Bradford, so that all our communities have somewhere they can go and talk about how they feel and share their fears, just so they know that people have got their backs, that you're supported, that there is support out there for you, and that you're not alone on this. So that's what I would say.
Thanks very much, Frazer, and I'd like to just reiterate again, it's so important, like what you said on stage earlier. Hey, I found it interesting what you said about it you know when you said, I don't want to say low level, because hate crime is not low level.
It's not low level.
And it isn't. It's not. We may not see it every day. It might just happen when we least expect it to happen. And when it happens, we must be prepared.
We really must. And I think it's a really, really good point. When I was talking about that, we were talking about verbal abuse. And I think a lot of people in society do think that that's kind of not very important and that there's maybe more important things we should be worrying about. If you watch the news, yeah, there's some really, really bad things going on. But that doesn't mean that we get to ignore people whose lived experience is having verbal abuse on a daily basis. It's really, really important to call that out, to show that it is actually important. It does destroy people's lives and that there is support out there. So it's important for people to speak up if they're being called names, whether it's on the transport, in public places, in the home, in schools, in workplaces, that people can come forward and talk about it and report it.
And COVID, I think us being locked away just made it worse online.
It did.
And that was not good, because being kept apart was very surreal, and we had never, ever, I remember, when I look back at COVID now, I could remember absolutely nothing like that happening before.
No.
It was a very unreal time.
Can I just say, I really enjoyed the talks. I think we need more of them. It needs to happen in more places. My question was, you must have seen a lot of changes in the time you've been in the police force, and how different is it from when you first joined 20 years ago from now, and we know it's getting worse?
The police force is very, very different to how it was 20 years ago. The whole world has changed. When I joined the police via internet, it wasn't a thing. And like I said when I was speaking on stage earlier, hardly anybody had a mobile phone. But now we're more proactive, which means we try to help, we try to address things before they happen. So if we can provide support, for people who have certain vulnerabilities, so that they know about what we can provide, and our partner agencies like the council, the Bradford Hate Crime Alliance, and other support agencies in Keighley, then we can signpost and point people in the right direction so they can get help they need, instead of sitting back and waiting for something to happen and then acting on it then. So it's very different to how it was.
You just added there, Jane, do you love your job?
Do I love my job? Oof, great question. Very excellent question. I would say sometimes, but in reality, yes. Yes, I do. Sometimes it can be very rewarding, very beneficial. I mean, I've done various different things in the police. And now as a hate crime coordinator, providing support for people, vulnerable people with different needs, I find that really, really rewarding, because not all vulnerabilities or disabilities are visible. Yeah, I'm a police officer. I'm a big guy. But I've got disabilities as well, which aren't visible. I'm partially deaf, which, I should wear hearing aids all the time, but I don't. That's my choice. But you can't tell by looking at somebody necessarily if they have a disability or if they have a vulnerability. So, and I always try to be as helpful as I can.
Well, I mean, I don't work in the police force. Obviously, I work for Bradford Hate Crime Alliance, and I've not been there for 20 years. So it's a little bit difficult. But what I will say is that if you're looking at how things have changed, if you go back 25 years, hate crime as a thing, as a name, didn't exist. It did exist because people were still being abused.
It did.
But people didn't call it hate crime. So we've come a long way, actually, in 25 years, and the awareness now. I think more people are aware of it, but we've still got a lot of work to do to get the word out there. More and more people need to recognise that even if they may not be a victim of hate crime themselves, they've got a role to play by reporting it if they've witnessed something, by standing up for other people. If you hear people saying certain words, you kind of think, nah, it's not on, nah. We don't need to use language like that. Call it out if you feel it's safe to do so. Obviously, echoing what Steve said, never ever put yourself in harm's way. But we've still got work to do. But we've come a long way.
Can I just say, I think you've done a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. So much.
I just want to add, Frazer, that this is not a question, but the world over the years, during our time, has completely changed. I mean, when I was born in the 90s, things weren't like they are now. And now we're grown up. I'm grown up. 30 now.
Well, you don't look it.
No, I don't feel it. I don't stand it. But I just want to say that I'm proud with everybody. Our efforts, everybody's efforts.
You guys work so hard. You should be proud of what you do. You are just an example to anybody, really, about how, if you take this seriously and if you really invest your energies in it and work as a team, you can create amazing things. And you're helping. Every little thing that you do helps somebody. Even if it just helps one person, I think it helps a lot more. But even if it just helps one person, it's all worth it. Well done.
I feel like we are actually changing the world, leading a new change.
Let's do it.
Why do you think hate crimes increase for people with disabilities?
In my job, you're talking about do I enjoy my job? I didn't answer that, but like Steve, it's hard sometimes to enjoy this job because you have to deal with lots of difficult things, and you see a lot of people going through a lot of pain because of hate crime. And I think for me, one of the things that upsets me most is hate crime that is targeted towards the disabled community, and I find it really, it's just so cowardly. And it upsets me a lot, but that's what motivates me, and it kind of makes me kind of get out of bed every day and think, yeah, I get to go and work with these guys at Keighley Craven today. It's an amazing opportunity. They do some fantastic work. So I think it's why has it gone up? I think for a lot of different reasons. I think it's ignorance. I think a lot of it is ignorance, and I think we need to do a lot more work around making people aware that we're all different in our own very different ways. We're all unique in our own ways. But it doesn't give us the excuse to try and make one person less than us. We're all equal, always.
Great answer there, Frazer. Yes, we are all equal. And as well, echoing what Frazer has said, not only because it's easier to commit hate crimes these days online, which, so you could have somebody calling you the most horrendous names, and it could be some 14-year-old kid sat in the bedroom in Burnley. Sorry if I meant Burnley, it's just the first place that popped into my head, but it could be a 14-year-old kid who you've no idea who it is. But as well, the flip side of that is it's also easier to report hate crimes. So the mechanisms that have been put in place by West Yorkshire Police, our partners, Bradford Hate Crime Alliance, with the Hate Crime Reporting app, then because it's easier to report it, there's more reports. So the numbers are higher. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there is more hate crime, there's more reported hate crime.
That's a really good point, and I think we need to remember that all the work that you do here is to get more people to report hate crime. That means the figures are going to go up. So yeah, on paper that might look like things are getting worse, but we know that most people don't report hate crime. So while the figures say one thing, we know there's many more people that don't report it. So the more people that come forward, it might look worse on paper, but actually that means that you guys and us and working all together, we're doing a better job. So keep up the good work, guys. Keep it up.
I just want to say, I think today is going to lead to far more than just safety for us. And thanks very much. I could talk more, but we don't have time. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and your event today was very important, and I would say very, very successful, and hopefully we can do it again sometime soon.
Thank you so much for having us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys about hate crime. You're so motivated. We're so proud of all the work you do, and we can't wait for the next opportunity we get to work with you. Thank you.
Remember to comment, like, share on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can find us by searching for the People First podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.